Hello, maggots. We are recording. Keep trying to do this. I haven't seen you guys since Monday. I missed Friday. I've had not necessarily a lot going on, but a lot that I want to change about myself. And so doing a little soul searching, spending some time. So I apologize. I'm sure you missed me so much not getting to see me on Friday, but here we are. Today I'm going to talk about sumo wrestling because there was supposed to be a tournament this month, and because of the pandemic, it's not happening. Tournaments are 15 days long. It would have started like yesterday, basically. Sunday in Japan, or maybe Saturday in Japan, but like our time well, whatever. Either way, today would have been, I would have seen footage of the first day recorded and talked about, commentary, all that jazz. So I'm missing it because I think it's a beautiful martial arts sport. And so today I'm going to tell you a little bit of why it's a thing and the rules and regulations and stuff like that. And then on Friday I'll do a second video to talk about the people within it that I really appreciate and that make me feel something, what I feel about sumo in my heart, as opposed to just telling you about it. So here we go. Sumo is striking one another. It's a Japanese originated sport. The first time it was mentioned in literature was all the way back in year 712, when it's spoken of in regards to gods Takemikuzuchi and Takeminakata fighting one another for possession of whatever they fought each other for. So that was that. Over time it changed and became something more streamlined and regulated. Very cool. But initially it was something that rich people had court, and they could hire these wrestlers to worship, and it was borderline religious. So it started changing over time, of course. Nobunaga loved sumo wrestling, and I'll put a link to the sumo Wikipedia page because that's where I'm getting most of my information to tell you about. And also I'll put a link in the pee-pee poo-poo to Nobunaga if you don't know who he is, because an important figure for sure. But he in 1578 held a tournament with sumo wrestlers, 1,500 of them, and he devised these rings to be able to let more than one bout happen at a time, and judges would walk around and take who won and stuff and figure all of it out. So that's where the idea of the doyo came from, which is the ring that they fight in. It's surrounded by rice bales. If a wrestler touches the clay ground that the doyo is made out of with anything but the soles of their feet, they lose. Or if they're pushed past the boundary, the rice bale boundary of the ring, they also lose. So it's pretty simple and interesting because it's not super aggressive. So that's that. That's how one wins. And when someone does something like a frontal push out, that's a kimarite called oshidashi. Kimarite is the winning move. There are 82 of them to define the different maneuvers one can do in order to win a bout. One of the sneakiest maneuvers is called a hanka, and I'll talk more about that. So the rice bales, the clay, the Shinto shrine that is often above a doyo, the salt, the power water, these are all implements of worship in a sense. A wrestler, when they approach the ring before going out for their bout, they toss salt to clear the spirits so that their winning or losing is completely on them. It's not due to any leftover energy from a previous bout. That's the point anyway. Power water is handed off by the most recent winner on either east or west side. Those are where the wrestlers fight, either east or west. So let's say someone on the east side won. Then they stay with the power water and give it to the next wrestler as they come up. If the next wrestler that comes up on the east side does not win, then the one who won most recently stays there until someone else wins, basically. So theoretically, one giving the power water could be there all day because someone else on their side might not have won or something, which is silly. There are stables, so there aren't teams, but there are, in a sense, it's the family that one is initiated in. It's a stable. Sumo is a livelihood. It's an all-encompassing life that these wrestlers live. They can't drive. They live, eat, sleep, practice in their stables. There's an oyakata who's the leader of the stable. Oftentimes he's a former wrestler who retired and is now a teacher, so to speak. There are ranks. There are divisions. There are salaried divisions. The salaried divisions are the two top ones, and then all the rest are people working their hardest, going up from grade school all the way up, working hard to be able to earn a salary with sumo. The top division is Makuuchi. That's the division that I watch. It's the most professional one because it's the top one. The division below that is Juryo. Those are salaried divisions. Juryo I watch sometimes because up-and-comers will get promoted to Makuuchi division. So it's nice to see that ahead of time. In Makuuchi, there are several different ranks. The top being Yokozuna. So top of the pyramid is Yokozuna. If they post a losing score, they have to retire. They don't get another chance. They don't fall down the rank and work their way back up to Yokozuna. If a Yokozuna fails, and not just like individual bouts, I mean, of course they can lose, but if they don't post a winning score, which is 8 wins over 7 losses over the 15-day tournament, if they don't post a winning one, then they have to retire. So their whole life is maintaining their rank as a Yokozuna. They are the gods within the wrestlers. Division or rank below that is Ozeki. They're kind of like the security guards of the Yokozuna, but if an Ozeki fails to post a winning tournament, then they will get demoted. And not inherently, depending on how bad they lose, but when one posts a losing score, then they get demoted typically. When one posts a winning score, they have a chance to get promoted. Making it to Yokozuna, very difficult for obvious reasons. There are only 2 right now. I'll talk about them more on Friday. Under Ozeki is Sekewake. Under that is Komusubi. And then there's Magashira. Magashira there are 17 Magashira from each side, I believe. Yeah, like 1 through 17 east and 1 through 17 west. And within this division, all the different ranks bout against each other every day out of the 15-day tournament. One faces a new opponent. Ooh. And there's so much to that. The matchup, the pairing, the race to get the most wins to win the basho. It's very exhilarating. and fun to witness. To see these two people overcome one another in no more than a minute, really. If a bout goes more than a minute, it's like pretty shocking because it happens quick. A push out happens quick. A pull down happens quick. Hanka jumping out of the way after the Tashia, quick. Tashia is how they start. There's Gyoji, who's the judge, and he witnesses and calls the beginning of the bout. So there are lines on the ground, and once both sets of knuckles touch the ground at the same time, that's the Tashia, and they charge at each other. So waiting, knuckles on the ground, go. And the Tashia is very important because it can mean the difference between winning and losing depending on how it goes. And some people have the audacity to just jump out of the way, which is not an illegal move, but it is dishonorable because it's not physically overcoming one's opponent. It's sort of cheating by just getting out of the way, using their momentum against them to fall on the ground. But in a sense, that opponent is weak because they fell for it. So lots of controversy within the sumo world over things like women not being allowed in the ring and stuff like that. And who's put up against one another and getting demoted for being injured and not being able to participate, but then they have to fight and get a certain score in order to maintain rank. It's very difficult, but it's life for these wrestlers. So it makes sense that they would face their own trials and tribulations. It's so fun. I guess my biggest thing that I need to tell you is that it's not a diaper. People call it that, and I don't get offended easily, but like a diaper, they don't shit in it, they don't piss in it. It is their way to grapple and protect their junk. Did I already talk about it? Oh no, I've taken so many videos now today because of snafus that I'm like, what have I already spoken of? But I think I covered a good portion. I am going to watch this, probably share it, regardless of the outcome, because I need to go do stuff. And anything that I missed, I'll cover on Friday when I talk about my favorite sumo wrestlers. That's pretty good. So there's a 15-day tournament, there's ranks, there's divisions, there's Kimarite, how one wins against their opponent, there's the act of worship that it stands for, to appease the gods. The rice bales are to get the gods to understand that these people appreciate rice so much that they're offering this visual display so that they will continue to yield rice crops and continue to get the clay they need for building. So, yeah, sumo is about honor, the spirit, and so much more. And just because they're big men with fat on their bodies doesn't mean that they're just big fat men pushing each other. They have muscle, otherwise they wouldn't be able to do it. And they don't shit in their belt. So it's not a diaper. It's very beautiful, in my opinion, and I think should be one of the most respected forms of martial arts outside of maybe some other ones, but sumo is my favorite. There's no punching, there's no kicking. There is slapping, but no closed fist anything is allowed. It's just overcoming one another. And there are small sumo wrestlers, and there are very, very big fat ones that are not very agile. And the small ones are speedy and quick, but can be picked up easily. There's a lot of nuance to how a wrestler lives their life. And it's very strict. It takes a lot of devotion to be a sumo wrestler, and a lot of eating. But it's very cool, and I'll tell you more on Friday. I don't think I talked about my haircut, but I'm super excited about it. It's the shortest my hair's been in 11 years, since 8th grade. 8th grade was the last time I got my hair cut shorter than my shoulders. And I'm loving it. Big changes in the world. Here we are. It's like really big and curly though. Boop boop. Yeah, say goodbye to Jill. I was so excited that my Jill video was shared by Jill's mom. So little quick shout out to her. Thank you so much for seeing that I love Jill and sharing it with the world that I do. Because what a good girl. So, and that just put me in a state of bliss, being recognized by someone that I respect from afar. I'll see you Friday, maggots. Thanks for listening to me. Check out the Pee Pee Poo Poo, because there are so many interesting things that you can learn if you care to about this sport. And I feel like I wouldn't like it if it weren't something very impressive and worthy of noting, worthy of attention, in my opinion. And I miss it right now. It went from every other month to like, no sumo this month. Why is the world so crazy? It'll be okay though. It is 8:48. Hopefully I can get this video out in a timely manner. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for being out there listening. I hope that I can open your mind about this specific type of art that I love. And, yep, as always, I hope you have a good night. See you later, maggots.